Welcome! We're going to take a look at Google Forms and how to create them. Google Forms is a free collaborative online survey tool and a subset of Google Docs that includes text editor, spreadsheet, presentation, and drawing software. Google Forms are available at no cost. They're easy to create, distribute, and manage. The Forms responses summarize the data that can be viewed graphically and provide information for decision making. And the forms can be accessed from any internet-enabled device, including your smartphone. Let's take a look at how to create one of these forms. The first step is to log into your Google Docs account. If you don't have one, you can create one free. We'll do all of this at docs.google.com. Here is the docs.google.com login screen. If you don't already have an account, you can create an account right from this screen. The next step in creating Google Forms is to build the actual form. This can be done directly from the Google Docs page by going to the Create New drop-down and selecting Form. Alternatively, we could upload a spreadsheet from Excel, for example, into Google Docs and turn that into a form, or take an existing Google Docs spreadsheet and turn that into a form. Here, we enter the form title and any instructional text. Then we begin building our question bank. Each question will have a question title, or the prompt, the opportunity to enter help text, and the opportunity to enter the question type. Choices include a text, paragraph text, multiple choice, checkboxes, choosing from a list, scales, or grids. The difference between text and paragraph text is that paragraph text allows for a longer response. The difference between multiple choice and checkboxes is that checkboxes allows the respondent to enter more than one response to the prompt. Choosing from a list is a drop-down list. A scale is something like a Likert scale, and a grid is similar to the Likert scale, except that we can also put multiple questions within that same bank. For our first example, we'll create a multiple choice response. Each question can be turned into a required question by selecting the checkbox. And when we're finished with that question, we hit Done. The next item can be added by selecting the Add Item drop-down and choosing the question type. For the second type, we'll select to choose a scale question. Let's do a 5-point scale. And we'll make this a required question. And we'll add a final item. Let this one be a text response, so we can get a short answer from everybody. I'll make this also a required question and select Done. Once any of the questions are created, we can go back and edit them. We can also duplicate the question type so that we can have the same question type repeated for future questions, or we can trash it. In addition, we can rearrange the question order by simply dragging them into a different format, a different location on the test. The More Actions menu allows us to edit the confirmation message that is received by the respondents when they complete the message. We can change that here. We also have the option of turning off or turning on the Publish Response Summary, which would allow the respondents to see all of the responses that have been turned in so far. The next step in creating Google Forms is to distribute the form. And there are 4 ways to do this. We can embed the survey within an email message to recipients. We can send a link to the survey via email. Or we can embed the survey into a web page or link the survey from a web page. To email the form, we select the Email this form option from our survey itself, and we can enter the respondents' email addresses. If we wish to embed the message, we click More Actions and Embed, and we're giving the text, the HTML text, that can be used and inserted into a web page, for example, in order to create the actual form in this format on that web page. Finally, we can make a link to that by selecting the link that is listed at the bottom of the survey itself. Underneath the form that we've created, the survey that we've created, is a spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet lists the questions across as column headers and will list the responses down for each row. You'll notice that there's a column for timestamp. This is automatically generated when each respondent enters or submits their survey. After distributing our forms, the next step is analyzing or optionally sharing those responses. When your respondents have submitted their forms, your spreadsheet is populated with their answers, and you can view this in a graphical view by selecting Form and Show Summary of Responses. At that point, a nice layout is given with graphical and numerical data. And that information can be shared with collaborators. So those are the steps in creating Google Forms. Finally, let's consider some ways that Google Forms can be used by school leaders. The forms can be used to create student assessments, staff surveys, administrative observations, event RSVPs, or product orders. Perhaps you can think of a few ways that you could use Google Forms in your environment. That concludes our presentation on creating Google Forms. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.